Well, hello there, Dr. Samuel Jones. Always excited to be sharing content, not just from the Bible, but perspectives about leadership, about influence, about communication, about conflict resolution, pretty much whatever information to help people to keep transforming through change. Today, we're going to be talking about receiving support to win with what you have left. If you looked at any previous videos, you'll know that I've been talking about the story of Naomi and Ruth and their relationship and their journey. And if you don't know anything about it, let me just kind of summarize it. I am going to read a couple verses here to pick up to where we're talking about receiving support. So if you know anything about the story, it talks about how Naomi, she had her husband, she had two sons, and they moved to a country called Moab, and her two sons eventually married some women from that area. Well, with the span of 10 years, Naomi lost her husband, she lost her two sons, and she eventually lost one of her daughter-in-laws because she gave both of them permission to go back home. The scripture says that they had a great connection. They cried and they hugged and they kissed and they did all these things. And of course, Orpah, one of the daughter-in-laws, decided to go back home. But on the flip side, Ruth, the other daughter-in-law, decided to stay with her and stay committed to her. And that's where we pick up talking about receiving support because, sometimes it's hard for us to receive help. When people are trying to support us in what we're doing and they see us on hard times and we're so used to helping other people, and when people reach out to help us, we say, oh no, that's the way I am. Well, that's the way I used to be, right? It's like, oh no, I don't need to, I'm good, right? And that's the way Naomi was. So let's pick it up, and I'm reading the 15th through the 18th verse, first chapter, and it said, and she said, behold, and she's this is Naomi talking to Ruth. She said, and behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. This is why I love when Ruth starts talking to her mother-in-law. She says, thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. And the Lord do so to me more also, if aught but death part thee and me. And when Naomi saw that she, Ruth, was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. I love that, right? It's like Naomi got to this place. She's like, you know what? Apparently there is nothing that I could say to make you leave me right now. So let's continue to walk towards Judah and let's just keep having the conversation because you know what? You're not leaving. And so that's what we need to learn how to do sometimes when people are trying to support us, especially people that hang in there with us. We need to just give up and just receive that support. And so that's what we're talking about today. And I just want to go back and just hear how Ruth made that commitment to Naomi and let her know, receive my support because I'm not going anywhere. And I love this. She said, entreat me not to leave these. In so many words, stop asking me to leave you. I'm not going anywhere. And she said, or to return from following after me. Listen, stop asking me to not go with you and stop trying to get me to stop following you. I'm not going to stop. I'm there with you. And then she says, for where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I'll stay. Your people shall be my people, thy God, my God. And where you die, guess what? I'll die there also. I mean, there are some people in our lives, there are some people in your lives, that's been with you through thick and thin. And they don't care what you've done, what you didn't do, what crime you committed, if you did commit some crimes. But you have some people in your life that you can't run them off. You can't run them off. They're going to be with you to the end. And so the whole point of this video today is just to encourage you to receive support from the people who are there with you. I'm not talking about who's there that when the sun is shining and when the parade is going and everything is going good and all of a sudden they show up. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who, when you messed up, when you didn't keep your word, when you just made so many mistakes and you look around, no one cares about you, and all of a sudden these people show up and let you know, we love you, we care about you, God still has a plan for you, I'm with you. Those are the people that I'm talking about. Receive support from them. So today I'm going to give you 5 strategies that I have learned and that I'm applying myself and that I'm sharing with people that I'm coaching and some of the teams that I'm working with. 5 strategies to receive support. I promise you, if you do these 5 things, you're going to receive all the support you need in order to win with what you have left. So let's get into it. So the first thing is to receive some support is we need to identify your source of support. Okay, when I say identify your source, number 1, your source is God. We know that, okay? However, number 2, God does it through people. Okay, so don't be mistaken by that. When the people in your life that show up to support you, there is a deep spiritual connection that connects to you that's trying to encourage you. That's God. Okay, you need to recognize that that's God. These people are still with me. That can't be nothing but God. Why? Because so many other people walked out of your life. They turned their back on you. But God knows who to have in your life. That's why God allowed Orpah to go back home, because Orpah had another agenda. Again, there's nothing wrong or bad about Orpah. She just decided to go back. And we're not here to focus on Orpah. We're here to focus on Ruth. Ruth made that commitment. Ruth was a source of support for Naomi. So number 1, if you're going to learn how to receive support, we need to identify our source of support. Number 1. Number 2, in terms of receiving support, we got to remember the goal. Remember, Naomi was trying to go back home. That was her goal. If she would have been by herself, do you think she would have made it? If she would have been by herself, do you think possibly maybe she could have been taken advantage of? I mean, think about it. You got to remember your goal. And guess what? I don't care what goals you have in this thing called life. You can't accomplish them by yourself. That's one of the biggest revelations that I have had in my life. There have been so many things that I said I want to do, I want to get done. But you know what I came to the realization? I can't do it by myself. All of the goals that I have, I can't do them by myself. I need help. And you need to have goals that remind you that you can't do it by yourself. Matter of fact, if you can accomplish your goal by yourself, that goal is not big enough, it's not meaningful enough, and it's not going to inspire you to keep acting. That's why you need to have people around you, and your goals need to be so big that you cannot do them by yourselves. I'm going to have to do a video on that one day, but I'm just thinking about that, because guess what? You know, so many times we have goals and we're trying to accomplish everything on our own. And when we're doing that on our own, it's not big enough. It's just for us. So anyway, number 2, you got to remember your goal. Number 3, oh my goodness, number 3. We have to learn how to let go of the past. Okay? What sense does it make that I have you in front of me helping me to walk away from my past, and I keep turning around looking at my past and talking about my past? If you're going to receive the support, receive the support. If you have support that people keep making you look back, keep getting you to go back, that's not support. Support is supposed to help you to move forward. You know, I think about the story of Moses, and you may have saw some of the videos I did about Moses, but when Moses was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt, they got to a place, and Moses kept telling them, he kept putting God's vision in front of them, kept telling them, we're going to the promised land. God's going to take us to the promised land. And God was taking care of them. You know what happened? Some people started bickering and complaining. Hey, if I would have told Moses, I said, Moses, renovate some of those relationships. But anyway, we didn't do that. Moses was trying to get them to step away from their past. As a matter of fact, Naomi needed to step away from her past, even though she was going back home. Even though she was leaving the Moabites, the country of the Moabites, and everything that happened there when she got back home, she showed you that she didn't really step away from her past. Matter of fact, she walked right back into her past, even though she was at home and everything happened so far away. So sometimes we have to learn how to step away from our past. Leave the past where it is. Get the lessons from the past, get the blessings from the past, and leave all the pain in the past. Okay? Number four, we have to learn how to be vulnerable. Right? Learn how to be vulnerable. If you're going to receive support, the best way that you can be vulnerable to receive support is to ask. Just ask for support. Just say, you know what? I don't know how to do this. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't know how to do this by myself. Naomi was vulnerable enough to make all of those grand statements to first of all, she made the statements to Ruth and Orpah. She said, look, listen, I'm old of age, and what are y'all gonna do? I'm not getting married again, but even if I did, you think I'm old enough to where I can have another kid, and if I have another son, you gonna stay with me long enough to raise him up, so you gonna marry him, and y'all not gonna marry? She had that grand speech to both of them. And at the end of that speech, Orpah was like, yeah, you're right. I'm going back home. And Ruth was like, I'm not going anywhere. And she was like, oh, no, go with your sister-in-law. Your sister-in-law, she's gone back. So go ahead and go with her. And then Ruth gave her this long dying statement about where you go, I'll go, and where you stay, I'll stay, and your God will be my God, and your people will be my people, and where you die, I die. Guess what? Naomi was like, okay, I'm vulnerable enough now. I done went through all of that, and guess what? You're still going to be here? Okay, well, let's do this. You see, sometimes we have to allow ourselves to be so vulnerable that we'll put all of our feelings on the table. And the people that care for us, they will listen to us, and they will still support us. So don't hold back. The people you care about that you know that's with you, allow yourself to be vulnerable with them. Because they already know anyway, but it's good for you to express it. You see, when you express it, that's your way of expressing that I'm going to receive your assistance. But when we don't express it, we're telling people, listen, I know I need some help, but listen, I'm good. And sometimes we say I'm good when I'm really not good. And the people that's supporting us, they need to hear us say sometimes, I'm not good. I am not good. And then guess what? They'll support us, and they'll listen to us, and they'll give us a platform to express ourselves. And don't you know that relieves depression? Do you know depression is all about a lack of expression? And says, guess what? Some of us are making ourselves depressed because we're expressing to people who don't care. So get it expressed to the people who truly care. So if you're having a depression problem or something like that, it's just your lack of expression with the right people. Everyone does not need to hear your life story. Everyone does not need to know what you're going through. Everything does not need to know everything about you. And unfortunately, in this thing called social media, that's what we've had turned to. We think everyone is out there to look out for our best interests, and everybody's going to do something good. But guess what? Anyway, go back and listen to Renovating Your Relationships. And matter of fact, I think that'll help you. But we're talking about be vulnerable. You don't have to show your vulnerability to the entire world. Okay? Show your vulnerability to the people who need to hear your vulnerability and need to experience your vulnerability. Naomi did it with Ruth. And guess what? Ruth in return gave it right back to Naomi. Last but not least, number five strategies to receive support. And I think this goes along with number 4, being vulnerable. Number 5 is add humility, subtract pride. Add humility, subtract pride. So what are you saying? You know, if you're going to receive support, you got to learn how to humble yourself. I'm telling you, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Everything is not going to work out the way you planned it. Everything is not always going to go the way you thought it should go. Add some humility in there and remove your pride. You know, that's one thing that I've had to do. I mean, constantly over and over in my life, and I'm not afraid to say it. You know, I've had some prideful things in my life to where I've recognized that if I'm going to receive some support, I need to remove my pride and add some humility. And that's what Naomi was. That's what Ruth was trying to get Naomi to do. Just humble yourself. Listen, I'm with you. I know you're in need. I don't have to express to the world that you're in need, but I got your back, and I'm going to be here with you. And don't you know that's what God does with us? God wants us to humble ourselves, to recognize that we need him, and we need his word, and we need his principle, and we need his grace, and we need his mercy, and we need all of that. And the very moment that we think we don't need it, you know what that stepping up is? That's pride. That's pride stepping up. And we know the scripture says that pride comes before destruction. Pride comes before something like that. You know what I'm talking about. But my point is, if we're going to receive support, we just got to humble ourselves. Just receive support from the people in your life who's trying to help you. And I can't say enough about that. Especially when you're talking about winning with what you have left. Unfortunately, so many times people look at what they have left and they start focusing on what they don't have. One of the most important things that I have learned in doing all of the work that I've ever done, whether being an administrator at a college, playing professional basketball, to now a speaker, a coach, or a trainer, and doing these videos with you, one thing I learned, I don't care what I end up with. I don't care what hand I have left. It's still a winning hand. You know why? Because I'm still in God's hand. So it's not about what's in my hand. It's about me being in his hand. And when we can learn that, that will keep us humble enough to recognize that I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it sounds like. I don't care what people say they are experiencing. The story is not over. It's not over. As a matter of fact, the story is really already over because you're already going to win. You just got to know you're going to win. Why? How I know that? Well, because I'm following someone called Jesus Christ. And he said, what did he say? I have overcome the world. And so if you believe in me, you can overcome the world. Everyone has something going on in their world. I don't care who you are right now. You got something going on. You got something you don't like. You got something you don't want. That's life. That's what one of my mentors, he told me, he said, waking up every single day and having things that you got to work through, that's something called good morning. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. In so many words, he's saying that's part of life. And sometimes we think life is supposed to be this rose garden where everything is going to work just the way we think it is. Everything is supposed to go just the way I planned it. No dark days. Matter of fact, you know how it is, human nature. When it's hot outside like it is right now, we complain about it's being hot. And then all of a sudden we get 4 or 5 days of rain. Oh my goodness, we got a lot of rain. And then we say, man, I'll be glad when it starts getting cool. And all of a sudden it gets cool and then we start complaining about it's cool. I'll be glad. That's us. That's what we do. Well, why don't we do something different? Let's do something different. Let's take whatever we have left, whatever hand we're dealt, whatever the experience is. You didn't get the promotion. Somebody walked out your life. Your car broke down. No matter what the situation is, find some good in it. And I'm here to tell you, I truly believe that's why Ruth was with Naomi, to help her to see that I know both of us, we've lost something. You've lost more than me. But guess what? We both have lost something. But let's focus on what we have left. And that's why I'm doing these videos, because I want to encourage you to focus on what you have left. You have plenty. I promise you, you have plenty. So listen, take these things that I'm sharing in these videos. Again, like it, comment on it, share it with someone that you feel like they need to hear this. You know why I'm doing this? Because God inspired me to do it. And I'm so excited about it because I know it's not only helping you, but it's helping me as well. So listen, let's keep it going. Let's continue to take whatever we have left and let's continue to win. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. See you soon.